What's up, world? I go by the name of Jabari. It's the Words with Friends podcast. Had a little technical difficulty. I'll give you guys the backstory. Basically, I went to go do an interview for the podcast with a friend of mine, Alex White. He's the CEO and co-founder of a data company called Next Big Sound. And what Next Big Sound does is they aggregate and track all of the sort of social media and now sales, iTunes, Google Play numbers for artists. And I had met Alex a while ago. I used to work at Capitol Records when I was fresh out of college. I graduated from Howard and started working there as like a digital media coordinator. I kind of did everything that I do for myself, video-wise and interview-wise, for all of the artists on the label. So that's kind of how I got a lot of knowledge about making music documentaries and just being, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera as well. So anyways, Alex would come in and, talk about how important data was, and his company was, fairly new at the time. And I started using it when I was, working on a project with Cali Swag District. And for those that don't know, those are the guys that sing "Teach Me How to Dougie." I worked a lot on that album and that song project when I was there. That was kind of like my first big project. And so yeah, over the years, data has been very, very important in what I do from a filmmaking and from an event perspective. For those that know, I throw a really big party in New York and LA called Colors. And I also consult on Trilectro Music Festival. And data is such a big component, literally, to everything that I do. The things that I do on YouTube, being able to look at insights, being able to look at patterns of how people watch things, being able to look at when people rewind things, how people open up emails, A/B testing emails and seeing, what subject lines work best when they're very descriptive or when they're not at all. Things like this, understanding what content makes people click places, and then not just understanding it, but also then optimizing it, and then creating a level of just like a turnkey solution. I do a lot of research, and I'm very big on growth hacking. And for those that follow me on various social networks, a lot of people see me talking about growth hacking, and I suggest you guys just Google growth hacking. All of my entrepreneurs out there, there's some really great resources and thought leaders within the space right now that you guys should know a lot about. One of them being Ryan Holiday, and just a bunch of other people. I think Sean Ellis is another guy. But anyways, growth hacking is all about marketing that is intentionally about increasing users and not necessarily branding and publicity and things of that nature. Even though those things are very important, as a startup with no money, a lot of times the biggest thing that we can do for our business is to build it. And by building it, that means getting people using the product, getting people coming to the events, getting people to open the emails, getting people to become users, all of that stuff, So that stuff is, in my eyes, a lot more important than publicity and sort of, other things that should, be held with high regard in the marketing mix, but also to me, it's just about how many users you have. If you have no other means to do anything else, it's about what does your fan base, user base really look like. And for those that listen to the podcast, know I'm a huge flag bearer for emails and how important emails are. Outside of just having a social network following. So anyways, I say all that to say, this is why I really wanted to get Alex on the podcast, because his company is all about data, analytics, tracking, And he knows the importance and the worth of that. The problem was that I had a technical difficulty. My memory card got busted up when I was traveling to New York, and it broke, and then the card was locked, and it couldn't write anything on it. So I had to go and get another card, run down the street, come back up to his office and do it. But by the time that we were going to press record, he had another very, very important meeting, and I had to go get ready for my event. I had a photo shoot that day. So long story short, this is a very short podcast, so I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight on why I chose to do it before. And I'm definitely going to have Alex on again. But, keep rocking with me. I really appreciate everybody that's listening. I very much appreciate everybody that's supporting on Patreon, patreon.com/Jabari. You can go there and leave the podcast a tip if you are getting value from it and enjoying it. I know I've been slipping on some Mondays, but I'm just getting so busy working on my next film. Trilectro Music Festival is coming up in D.C. And then, I've just been traveling with Bicoastal, and so much stuff is just going on. All good things that I have nothing to absolutely complain about, but I'm just letting you guys know why you might not see the podcast one Monday or, something like that. But I'm still trying to get them to you guys, as frequent as I can, and it'll definitely be on Mondays. And, so we're going to get into it. Words with Friends podcast with Alex White from Next Big Sound. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Another Monday, Words with Friends podcast here with Alex from Next Big Sound. Introduce yourself.
Great to be here. My name is Alex White. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Next Big Sound, and our mission is to make data useful for the music industry.
Nice. Now, Alex, I know we kind of semi grew up in the same place, Ithaca, New York.
Yes.
I was there up until like the 6th or 7th grade, and you were there for?
My whole life up until 18 when I went to Northwestern for college.
Okay.
I was just back from my 10-year high school reunion.
Wow.
Last Saturday.
Wow, how was it?
Really great.
Nice
to be there, but nice to be back in New York City.
Yeah. Now, man, you run a very interesting company. And, for those that don't know, tell people a little bit about what Next Big Sound does.
So Next Big Sound tracks the music activity of every band in the world on a daily basis. And what that means is pulling in all the public social information, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Wikipedia, Tumblr, Instagram, Vine, etc. We combine that with our customers' private sales data, so iTunes tracks sales, Spotify plays, e-commerce numbers, and marketing events as well. So we pull in concerts and press mentions and chart appearances, and we tie all that together in one centralized dashboard that bands, managers, and music industry professionals can use to understand what's working with their marketing, what's not working with their marketing, who they should sign, where they should tour, make a bunch of decisions.
I'm a huge flag waver for data and just knowing as much insights about your customers as possible. But one thing I find is that with musicians, a lot of times it's an afterthought. People think about the data about their audience and what they're doing very much after it's been presented to them on why this is so valuable. But a lot of times people don't think about this stuff from the beginning, so do you find that as well?
Yeah, for sure. And people don't get into the music industry often because they love data and analytics. They love music, and they love songwriting, and they love managing talent, or they love recording. And so it's been a really interesting 5 years for the company as we've been banging the drum of how important this is if you actually want to build commercially successful careers. The music business has two words, music and business.
Yeah.
And, business is driven based on numbers and data. And for far too long, the music industry has not paid enough attention there. And it is, supplemental, but it is the only way to make use of limited resources. And when you have limited time and limited money, spending that most effectively is where we come into play.
So I guess take me through the trajectory of how you have become an industry leader when it comes to analytics in the music industry, because when you guys started, did you know that the company was going to be where it is now, or did you have a vision of this is where we wanted it to be, or was there sort of a shift in the growth?
We knew right when we launched August 6, 2009, that we'd hit kind of an idea whose time has come, because of the inbound interest we got from all the record labels, from all the management companies, from agents and publishers, and people saying, can you track this band? Can you track this data source?
Yeah.
Who the heck are you guys? But it was a slow, nothing happens overnight. It's every single day we've just been focused on how do we make this data actually useful. And at the beginning, really believing in the power of data to transform the music industry. It's been very public how tumultuous the last decade and a half has been for consumers, changing entirely how they listen to music, and artists and music companies needing to evolve how they make money and reach their fans. And so thought that there was always this opportunity, but never, I guess, expected to be able to power charts for Billboard and big license deals with the biggest music companies in the world, and winning lots of accolades around the country and around the world. It's been an incredible 5 years.
Yeah. What is the, when you guys started, did you have I guess it sounds like you just wanted to fill in a need, or like, I always say like the best ideas come from, or the best businesses come from like, solving a problem.
That you have,
providing a solution to something that, is there is no solution for it. So, obviously at that time, were you thinking about, you're thinking about solving a problem, but were you also thinking about like the monetary aspect of it, and because how do you guys make money now? Is it from a premium subscription account or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So I was touring on the road with a band as part of their management team for 2 months on a nationwide tour.
Okay. And
was trying to collect all these numbers by hand and graph them in Excel and make sense of it, and how did this show lift compared to that show lift, and this interview versus this video release versus this song, and trying to make sense of it all. So that was the kind of need we were filling. And in terms of how we make money and turn that into a business, we were always thinking, it's really fun and exciting to be in the startup world, but if you can't make money, you don't get to live here.
Yeah, especially in New York City.
And so, here or in the startup land. And so from the beginning, we're focused on how do we make something valuable enough that people will pay us money to do that. Mm-hmm. And so that's been the kind of North Star for us, not from a capitalistic standpoint, we need to be rich and famous. It's entirely from the value side of things, because people will say all day, you should do this or do that, and really focusing in on, well, if we do build that, what's that do for you and your business, and are you willing to pay for that?
Yeah.
There's certainly easier ways to make money than starting a company, but the revenue side of things is a great balancer and way to prioritize the different things that we're building. So.
Yeah. What take me through the process of how you get a client on board, or you introduce somebody in the music industry that has no idea what you offer. I mean, this may be a little bit 2-3 years ago and not just now, but like how did you get people to sign on board? Because I remember you coming into Capitol Records when I was there, and I sort of remember the pitch, but for those that don't know, like let them know what that looked like.
It was a lot of just meeting after meeting, and so I would do these tours. We were based in Boulder at the time, so I was traveling 2 to 3 weeks a month. And I would go to New York and Nashville and LA and San Francisco and Chicago and kind of loop through every 3 or 4 months to all those places.
Yeah.
And I would come in, and first I would meet with, an intern or whoever emailed me from at Capitol Records, and show them what we were doing. And then they'd say, hey, next time you're in town, let me know, and I'll introduce you to my supervisor or my broader digital marketing team or my marketing team. And ultimately those meetings, as we kept coming back with, we would add more sources, we would add more bands, we would add more features and functionality. And it would keep leading to more and more meetings. And so a lot of presentations, talking to thousands of people, and the site that we launched was probably the best way that people found out about it, because you could compare any band against any other band.
Yeah,
just type in a band name, and we'd be tracking it, and people would send it to their friends and say, oh my God, my band's more popular than your band.
Yeah.
And, that's how we spread initially, and those led to the first kind of foot in the door conversations.
Did you need to what am I looking for? Like, I guess when when you're trying to track stuff from like SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, all of that data is pretty much public. But is there anything that you needed to like go to some of these other companies and say, hey, let us in your API to actually get this information?
Yeah, almost all of them now, because we're tracking 500,000 to 1 million artists, mm-hmm. and the APIs that are public don't let you track the volume that we need to track. So we need special permissions from YouTube or from SoundCloud or from a lot of these sources.
Yeah.
Vigo.
Okay. Yeah. And where I guess are you looking? Where are you looking to take it now? Like, what's the next step, phase 2 goal?
Yeah, so we've got great coverage and awareness and built a huge brand in the music business. Most people know or use Next Big Sound on a daily or weekly basis across all aspects of the industry, which is great. We just launched our books division, Next Big Book, mm-hmm. Bringing the same data and analytics to the book publishing world. Yeah. And then brands and agencies. So we've signed our first brand deals. Pepsi was our first brand client.
Okay.
And helping them make smarter creative decisions around which musicians they should work with and measuring the impact on the brand and artist when they get involved. Nice. So I think that's a huge opportunity for us and what we're focused on a lot, on top of the foundation we built in music.
And as the head of a startup, man, what's something that you wish you would have known early on, whether it's personal or whether it's business, that you know now?
So I think with startups, one thing that I wish I could go back and tell myself would be to not be afraid or think that someone else would have the answers for me. And what that kind of means is I've talked to the most influential and powerful investors and customers and music industry folks and startup people, and everyone is still figuring it all out, and the world changes quickly and no one has all the answers. It's not like a normal hierarchical world or organization where someone has an answer key behind the desk, like a teacher or a professor, and you're just waiting to hear the right answer. It's really much more about figuring it out day by day as it goes along, and not being afraid to take a stand and say what you believe in and build what you think the world needs.
Yeah. Well, I'm very interested to see what is coming next from you guys, man. And I know you got to run to another meeting, but I'll get you back on in some capacity so we can have a grander discussion. I have so much more stuff I want to ask
you. I love talking about all this stuff, and those are great questions to start, and look forward to the next conversation.
Cool, Alex. Right. Thank you, man. All right.